James Kamstra with North Durham Nature, and I'm here with Derek Connolly.
Welcome to another Nature Nugget.
And today we are going to talk about Christmas bird counts. Derek, tell me, what is a Christmas bird count?
Well, it's a one-day event where groups of people count all the birds they can in a given area. We've got 2 bird counts in North Durham, Uxbridge and Beaverton. Way back in the 1800s, some sportsmen in parts of the United States had a tradition of going out and trying to shoot as many different kinds of birds as possible on Christmas Day, kind of a competition.
That doesn't sound very good. We'd be running out of birds if that kept going on. Now, how did that change?
Well, it was a fellow by the name of Frank Chapman. He was an ornithologist from the Museum of Natural History, and he proposed a Christmas bird count instead of a hunt, which was a good idea. I mean, looking back. There were 25 locations that mailed in their bird reports to Chapman, and he had this magazine called the Bird Lore Magazine. And that was the very first count. Now that turned into the Audubon magazine and the Audubon Society, and now they coordinate the counts all across North America. Year by year, more groups are adding to that big count. More counts are into the different areas. And today in Canada, there's almost 500 Christmas bird counts last year. And there's over 2,000 across North America.
Wow, that is pretty impressive. Now, the National Audubon Society, they realize the scientific value of all of these people getting out there and collecting data. And so they set up some standards so that it could be compared from year to year. So each circle, wherever they're done, they're a 15-mile diameter or 24 kilometers. So that's a pretty big piece of area to cover. So how do they cover that? Well, to get as many groups of birders out as possible, each covers a certain area, counts every single bird that they can, and also keeps track of how many hours they're out there and how much distance they cover. And all of these counts are done over this 3-week period between mid-December and early January so that the data can be compared. Now tell me, what kind of people come out on bird counts, Derek?
Well, anybody can participate if you know your winter birds, or you can join an expert out in the field. It could be cold out there, so some people prefer to stay home and count from their bird feeders.
Now, we do have 2 counts in North Durham, I understand. Can you tell me about those?
Sure. If you're living up in Brock Township, that's the Beaverton count. It's looked after by John McLean, and he's doing this in his it's the 46th year for that count. Down in Uxbridge and Scugog, the Uxbridge count is run by me, and there's 16 years that we've been doing that count, a little bit younger.
And how were the results this year on these 2 counts? Can you tell me that?
Fantastic. Really good, really good. Beaverton, 55 species, about 5,700 birds, almost 6,000. Uxbridge, double that, 12,000 birds, and 61 species. Highest count we've ever had. Overall, 60% of all the bird species in the Uxbridge count were higher than our average.
Now, why do you think we would have had more? I thought birds were supposed to be disappearing, and yet we had more than usual.
Well, I think there's about 3 factors here for this year. One was we had a lot more people. The other was we had some finches from the north that came down. And then we had really good weather in Uxbridge. So people, well, with the COVID factor, the snowbirds didn't fly down to their Florida condos. No, they stayed and they filled up their bird feeders and they counted some birds. So we had more people counting, so we had more birds. That's a big factor. Well, of course, there's the northern. Yeah,
yes,
James.
Those northerners. In the boreal forest, usually they don't come this far south. There's lots of pine cones and spruce cones for them, but they had a crop failure this year. So what did they do? They got to eat. They came south into our area. We had crossbills, siskins, redpolls, birds that we don't always see here. We had pine grosbeaks. Now, the pine grosbeak is quite a big, colorful bird. They feed on berries and cones. Picked up a few of those. We also had we had common redpolls. Redpolls, they're from the Arctic. They come in numbers, flocks, up to 500. We had over 2,000 on the Uxbridge count.
The redpoll, that's the red head. And then there was you mentioned crossbill earlier there. Yes, that was a really big hit, the red crossbill. It's the only bird in the world that has a crossbill. And it's great because it could pull the seeds out of the cones by separating the scales with that crossbill. And this was a new bird for our Uxbridge count. We had 2 experts in the count that saw the bird in 2 different locations. No, I didn't see the bird, unfortunately, but pretty exciting to see that rare bird.
Yeah, and there were Bohemian waxwings. Now that's a pretty bird. They're mostly from the northwest. We don't see them too often in this area, but we did have a few flocks, and they are really something special to see. They look a lot like our cedar waxwing, a little bit bigger, and they don't mind the winter at all. Now, what else did we get, Derek?
Well, some of the summer birds that we usually see were here now in the winter. For some reason, they forgot to head south. And one of them was the northern flicker, which a couple of people saw the northern flicker, which was a real treat. And there's another one, a hermit thrush was seen. The other factor that affected a lot of this, of course, was the weather. For Uxbridge, it was clear and calm, fairly mild, perfect for watching the birds. Normally in Christmas season, it can be snowy, rainy, windy. It's usually not very nice outside at all, so it's difficult. So milder weather can allow more birds to stick around and makes it much easier to see them. Now, we can't count on weather every year, but it would be nice if we could count on you to join us for the next bird count next year. Christmas bird count. Think about it.
Good idea. And thanks, Derek. Give us a little bit of background. And keep your eye open for our next Nature Nugget and check out the North Durham Nature website. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Thanks, James.